Welcome back to the second lesson in my JavaScript course. I've already created a copy of the JavaScript template that I introduced last lesson, and I've already opened script.js, the file where we write our script. Remember from last time, anything that goes inside these curly braces is going to be run when we press this button on our website. So I'm going to introduce you to a really fundamental concept for coding, and it's this idea of variables. A variable is simply a piece of information. Think of me, a human being, right? I've got a whole bunch of variables related to me. I have a name, I have an age, I have a height, I have hair color. All of these pieces of information could be stored in the code as variables. So let me show you a little bit how that works. I'm going to create a number, and I'm going to type in var to say I'm making a new variable. And I'm going to call this number x. You've probably done that a lot in maths class where you're using algebra and you use x as a symbol to represent a number. And I'm going to declare that equal sign means I'm going to set the value or declare the value of x to be, what will we use? 5. That's a variable. Now, if I wanted to display that variable, that number 5, I could, like I did last time, do a pop-up alert, and inside the brackets here, when I choose what I want the alert to be, what the contents of the pop-up will be, I can tell it X. End each line with the semicolon, save my file, refresh the website, and when I run the script, it tells me 5. Notice that it didn't tell me X, because it knows, the computer knows that this X is actually representing a number, 5, because of what we told it up here. Let's make it a little bit more complicated. Let's introduce another variable. So I'm declaring a new variable. I use that word var to say this is a new variable. I'm going to call it y, again using conventions you're used to from algebra. And this time I'm going to make it equal 4. So now I've got two variables. One's called x, one's called y. X equals 5, y equals 4. Inside the alert here, I'm actually going to tell it not to just tell me x and not to just tell me y. I'm going to get it to do some maths for me. I'm going to tell it to multiply x times y. Notice I used an asterisk there, the little star symbol, and that's what that means, multiply. That's the equivalent of multiplication when you're working with a keyboard on a computer. Let's save that. Let's refresh our web page over here. Let's run the script. And have a guess before I run it what you think will pop up in the alert window. Have a minute to think and then see if you're right. It hasn't told me X or Y, it's told me 20. And that's because it's telling me what X multiplied by Y equals, 5 and 4. Now, hopefully you're starting to see the value of variables. Let's say I wanted to multiply two different numbers, not 5 and 4. I realized, actually, sometimes I want 5 and 4, but other times I want different numbers. Well, they're variables. They can change. So let's try, I'm no good at my 8 times tables. Let's say 8 times 7. Let's make x equal 8 and y equals 7. We've just changed those numbers up here, but we haven't changed this line of code. It's still x times y. When I save, refresh over here, and run the script, it's now telling me 56, because that's what 8 times 7 equals. So you can change those variables. You can set them to equal different things to suit the different different applications, the different goals you have. We'll get a lot more into that in future projects where you'll be doing a lot more adjustment of variables to suit different things. Now, variables don't just have to be numbers. I'm going to delete all of this, and I'm going to, like I was saying before, I'm going to use myself as an example. And I'm going to write down a few of the variables related to me. So one variable is my name. My name is not a number, but a word. And when we want to do text, we call that a string. We put it inside quotation marks. My name is was going to say Chris, but since you're in my class, I'll say Mr. Gatt. And I end the line with a semicolon. So now I don't have a numeric value in this variable. I've actually got written text. The quotation marks make it a string of characters, text, words usually. I've also got some variables about myself that are numeric, like my age. At the time of creating this, I've just had a birthday. My age is 36. I don't need the quotation marks because this is numeric. Let's put that together a bit. I'm going to make an alert so that when I log into my web page and I click run the script, it will greet me by name because that's quite pleasant. I've done the wrong thing there. Alert, and then inside the brackets, we tell it what we want it to say. I want to start with some text. I want it to say, hi, or what do I want to say? Welcome back. And then I want it to name me. I want it to say, welcome back, Mr. Gatt. So what I can do, if I typed Mr. Gatt here, well, that would be fine, but then what if I want to change the name that it greets it to? If I write name here, well, actually, let's see what happens. Like last time, I've written the variable straight into there. Let's see what happens. I'll save, I'll refresh, I'll run the script, and it said, welcome back name. That's no good because I wanted to actually name me. I wanted to say Mr. Gatt. Why has it done that? Send it away. It's because everything here is inside quotation marks. And because it's inside quotation marks, it thinks it's all text. It's all a string. So what I actually need to do is finish the string here, get rid of that quotation mark. So now I've got a string of text, welcome back, and then I need to add to that the variable name, which is what I called it up here. So now I'm hoping it will say welcome back, and then it will add on to that my name. I'm going to run it. It won't be perfect yet, but we'll see what it looks like. Save, refresh in Chrome, and run the script. Welcome back, Mr. Gatt. That's pretty good. Now, if you look closely, though, you'll see there's no space between back and Mr. It's a very common error because look at what we've said in our code. Whatever we tell our code to do is what it's going to do. So if I've made a mistake, if something's not right, it's because that's what I told the computer to do. And indeed, that's what I've said. I've said welcome back, and then I've immediately said to add name. If I want a space, I need to put the space in this string of text. I need to put the space there. Save again, close that. So I'll save here, refresh in Chrome, run the script, and now it's got the space where I want it. Now I also could finish with a full stop, so let's do that while we're here. After name, we can add a full stop. Notice I put it in brackets again. So see how we're building up a sentence. We've got this string that says welcome back, space. Then we finish that string and we add a variable, my name. Then we add the full stop at the end. And if I save that, refresh over here, run the script, welcome back, Mr. Gatt, full stop. Now, because this is a variable and I've used the word name, I can change it really easily. I can go up at the top here, and if I decide years later that actually I want students to call me by my first name, which I think I'd be okay with, to be honest, save that, refresh over here, and run. Welcome back, Chris. As soon as I've updated it at the start, it updates it in all the subsequent references. I'm referring to it here, and so when I changed it here, it updated automatically. Now let's do another thing. Let's say let's do a second line where we say you are, and I've got my space, plus age plus space years old, and with a semicolon. Save it, refresh, and run. Welcome back, Chris. And now our second alert, you are 36 years old. Lovely. I can also, like before when we multiplied, we can do simple arithmetic in here. We can do some maths. So we could say, alert, in 10 years, in 1 decade. In 1 decade, you will be And now we want to add. Now you might be thinking that if we want to tell me how old I'll be in 1 decade, that you just say age plus 10. Hopefully you're thinking that. Maybe that's a bit much if you're just coding for the first time. Let's see what happens when we do that. Age plus 10. Then we'll say plus years old. So that should say, if we've coded it correctly, in 1 decade you will be age plus 10, which is 46. Oh, that makes me feel old. 46 years old. Save that. Go back here, refresh, run the script. Welcome back, Chris. You are 36 years old. Now let's see if the next one works. In 1 decade, you will be 3,610 years old. That doesn't seem right. What's happened? Remember, whatever we tell the computer to do is what it will do. If something goes wrong, we've done the wrong thing. So let's have a look at the code we've written. In 1 decade, you will be, that part's all fine. Now here we hoped it would say 46, because that's how old I'll be in 10 years. But it doesn't. It says 3,610 or 3610, 3610. What it's done is it's just added it as though it was a string of text. So if we want to put that together, all we need to do is put it inside brackets. A bit like when you do BOMDAS or BODMAS or whatever you call it in maths class, the order of operations. We want to tell it before you write this down, before you present it on our website, actually do this bit in the brackets first, which means it will add age plus 10. Let's save that over here, refresh and run. Welcome back, Chris. You are 36 years old. Indeed, I am. In 1 decade, you will be 46 years old. It did the maths for us because we had it inside those brackets. I'm going to show you one extra thing just for interest. This is getting a little bit more advanced, sort of. Not that it's too complicated. But I want to show you another type of variable. We've seen strings, text. We've seen, we'd call this an integer or whole number. You can also have decimals, incidentally, which are called doubles or floats. Never mind, getting a bit technical there. We can have other types of variables too. I'm going to add one last one, and I'm going to call it date. A new variable called date. And for this, we can be really clever because JavaScript has some built-in instructions, commands. They're actually called functions. Here, alert is a function. All we have to write is alert, and it does all the figuring out of how to make that look like a prompt box on the screen with text inside it. In the same way, we've got a function called date. So we can tell it the date is a new date. These brackets at the end tell us that it's a function. It's a set of commands that we're calling, that we're telling it to run. So let's see what will happen if we use date in another pop-up. So we'll just say, oops, in quotation marks, the current date is. Now, we've left a space, and we'll say plus date. Let's see what that does. We'll save it, we'll refresh, and we'll run. Welcome back, Chris. You are 36 years old. In 1 decade, you'll be 46 years old. Now, this is our new line of code. The current date is Sunday, August 11th, 2019, 5:04. That's 17:04 in military time. Greenwich Mean Time plus 10 hours, I think, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, when you do this for yourself, you will get a different date and time. That's because that truly is a variable. It truly can vary, right? The word variable means able to change. Whatever the current date is what date will equal. And in fact, notice it says 5:04:26. Let's run it again. Run, yep. Now it's 5:05. That variable is updating and changing all the time. variables can change, and that's the beauty of them. All right, like I said, that was a little bit extra just to show you some of the range of things you can do with variables. Have a go at creating your own welcome message, your own personalized greeting when you enter your website. Good luck with your coding.